Hi guys, so welcome back to my Let's Talk podcast. I'm going to be doing something a bit different today, something that's kind of hard for me, something that I've needed to do for a long time. For those of you who know, I initially started up my podcast for a bit of fun, just a general chit chat, whatever, However, as time's progressed and some of the work I've been doing in the back, in and out and working on mental health, it's something I'm really passionate about. It's something I've had to deal with, issue in my own mental health and stuff. So I think now is the best time to kind of go back, and what I'm going to do things a bit different. It's going to be a different setup that I've not really done, so kind of bear with me a bit. Obviously it's been about 6 years or something since I've done a podcast and stuff, so getting back into it's going to be quite difficult, but this is a topic that's really worth discussing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of brief points. I've got a couple of bits of stats about my topic, which is growing up in the care system. It's an issue that really needs highlighted. It's something I'm really passionate about, and it's almost like a taboo subject that nobody really discusses, and nobody really understands fully the ins and outs of what being in care means. Not that I'm saying I've got all the answers or that I explain everything perfectly. However, what I can do is I can explain it from my point of view, my experiences, and hopefully if what I've been through, and by sharing what I've been through and sharing my knowledge and stuff, that can hopefully help at least one person, then it means it's worthwhile to me. Because to me that's what it is. It's as long as I can let people know they're not alone, let people know that there is people there who care, who understand, who are listening. Because for a lot of time when I grew up in care, and just grew up in general, I never had that. I never really had anybody there who was there for me. It was hard. There's a lot that I'll kind of touch on. As I said, I've got a few notes here that I'll get through them first, and then what I'll do is I'll go back, got a bit of backstory into myself, why I'm doing this podcast, and kind of why I'm wanting to do this. So without rambling on, I'll get through this. So hello and welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about something that's really heavy, something that's changed my life. I want to explain what it's like to spend years growing up in care. People hear the words in care and they think, oh, it's alright, they've got a roof over their head, they're looked after. But they've got no idea really what goes on behind closed doors. They don't understand the damage that it does. So let me try and break it down a bit. So I've broke it down into about 3 parts here. A couple of parts. First off, first things first, let's just describe care, what it's like. I describe it as it's jail without the bars. You're no locked behind physical walls, but you're just trapped just the same. When you grow up in the system, you lose your complete freedom. You lose that completely. You don't choose what time you wake up. You don't choose what time you eat. You don't choose what you wear, who you see, anything like that. Every part of your day is regimented, mapped out, and you don't have a choice. Every decision is decided for you. You live by strict routines, rules you didn't make, and that you're constantly being watched, assessed, moved around just like you're a number in a file. Like, you're not even a human being. And that can be one of the hardest things to understand, is when you're in an institution like that and you're expected to be looked after and cared for, and you see yourself just getting passed about like you don't matter, that really impacts the impression that you end up with on yourself. It takes away your identity, it takes away your voice. You're living in an institution, in an environment that shapes you. It doesn't just look after you, it conditions you. So when you're looking at that, you've got to look at the long lasting PTSD and depression. Now let's talk about the scars, the ones you don't see, because of that environment, there is those scars that you don't see. There's the obvious that people will notice. They'll notice routines, they'll notice things you do and things you say, or it might even be something like self-harming. It might be those physical scars that they say. But sometimes the harder and the ones that cut deeper, if you will, so to speak, is the scars that you don't see. You know, because of that environment, you're left with severe depression, PTSD, and PTSD isn't just something that soldiers get. When you grow up in care, you're constantly in survival mode. You're waiting for the next move, you're waiting for the next person to leave you, waiting for things to go wrong. Because you're always stuck in that fight or flight. Even now, like years later, like my brain still reacts as if I'm in danger. I get flashbacks, I get nightmares. Like, I carry a heavy weight of sadness that never fully goes away. I mean, you learn to manage it, you can put coping strategies in place, and you can spot your triggers, you can spot cues, things that might get to you. So if you can put those in place, that's going to help. That's going to help a lot. Oh, sorry. So depression becomes like my shadow, because when you're made to feel invisible, when you don't have stability or love, you grow up feeling worthless. You feel like you don't matter. That feeling just doesn't stop when you turn 18 and leave. You know, that kind of stays with you. And just, I mean, it's not really in my notes, but just to kind of touch on that a bit more, you know, that is part of the thing that really gets to me as far as when you're in care. Because the institutions that you're in have a duty of care. However, it's almost the same sort of attitude as like how a lot of people I hear online talking about with veterans. There's a duty of care when you're there. As soon as you're gone, that duty of care's gone. There isn't so much there. But I mean, I can't touch on like the army side of things. I've just heard that said. But as far as being in care, that's what it's like. You're in the care system, and you think you're being looked after, and then as soon as you're in there, if you're in there till 18, it's literally like, okay, you're 18, you can't go to school anywhere, you're done with school, you're an adult, you ain't our responsibility. There's the big bad world that we've not prepared you for. Go. Because that is some of the things that can be really struggling, is you're in an institution. Now, I mean, I've been in two different places, which I will touch on later, to show the comparison. And yeah, so I've been in two different places. So when I was in there for 2 years, that whole 2 year period that I was in, the later one when I wasn't younger, when I was in there, I was expecting to be taught about the world, how to manage money, what the real world is, be prepared. I got none of that. None of us did. If you got to 18 and then it's, okay, we're done with you, we've chewed you up, now we're spitting you up. And I don't have any stats on it because I have looked for years and I don't seem to find them, which are really hard. But I would really love to understand, when you look at the rising numbers of people with substance abuse issues, whether it be alcohol, drugs, whether they're codependent on any of these things, how many of those are stemming? And same with homelessness. How much of this is all stemming from being in the care system, for not having that aftercare, for not having anybody there to look after you, to give you a good, just at least a start in life, to be like, here's how we're going to help you get housing, here's how we're going to help you with your bills, right, are you set? Right, there you go. Those small things could make the world a difference. I know so many of my friends who have been affected still after this day, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, whether it be issues with family, whether it be issues with social work. And this all stems from being in the care system. This all stems from the mistreatment that we received, that we just didn't get. Our lives were stolen, and nobody ever really talks about that. Everybody goes, oh, well, you were in care, you must have done something to deserve it. I will never ever once say I was an angel. I wasn't, by any stretch. But nobody ever deserves the treatment that we received in this place. I mean, obviously I'm talking widely as well, because there's other institutions, you know, but I can only speak for my opinions and what I've seen, what I've experienced, and yeah, it was horrendous. So I think there really needs to be that duty of care afterwards, and there needs to be that follow-up so that we know who's falling through the cracks, who's not falling through the cracks, how many drug deaths could have been saved if they'd had that aftercare, how much homelessness rates would be dropped, how much alcohol addiction would be dropped if people got the help they needed. I think that needs to be looked at. I'll try not to ramble on too much about that. So now, other part I would like to touch on, being in care, so how it affects my daily life today. Now, this is a part people find hard to understand. They say, just get over it. You're not there now, you've moved on. But you can't understand how being institutionalised, if I can say that properly, institutionalised, affects every single thing I do today. So, simple tasks I find impossible. Things that are normal for you are hard for me. Deciding what to buy, what to eat, what to do with your day. For years, somebody else made those choices. Now, having the freedom actually scares me. I don't trust my own decisions. I never got to practice making them. And the way I think, I view the world differently. I'm hyper vigilant all the time. I'm always watching people, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm assuming that people, they'll always leave me. They'll hurt me before they even get the chance, or hurt me, or hurt me, should I say, before they get the chance. It affects how I love, how I trust, and how I connect with people. It is, and then to touch a bit more on that, that is one of the things I've always struggled with, connection issues. And I would say it's a wide version of that, because sometimes I'm struggling to trust. Other times, when I do find people that I think I can trust, I latch on too quickly and I latch on too much. And that makes the pain hurt more every time another person lets me down. Another person, disrespects me, doesn't care, just kind of drops me like I don't matter. But that's obviously due to other traumas, which I'll go into later. So, feeling numb or overwhelmed, sometimes I feel nothing, because I learned to shut down to survive. Other times I feel everything all at once. I can't handle it, my emotions are all over the place, because I never learned how to process them in a safe home. I just didn't. Physically, I walked out of the care setting, but mentally, my mind is still locked up inside that jail. Now, I'm free on paper, which is great, but inside my head, I'm still following rules, still trying to please people, still trying to survive. It's shaped my character, my habits, my thoughts. It's a daily battle to unlearn everything that system taught me. And so the thing you need to think about, when you see me or somebody who's been in care, please understand, we aren't just difficult or complicated. We're people who survived in a system that was like a prison. We're now living with PTSD and depression that was formed years ago. We're trying to live normal lives, but our brains are still trying to work out how to be free. I'm telling you this so you know, if you feel this way too, it's not your fault. You were institutionalised, you were conditioned, and it's going to take time to break those chains. But we're here, we're fighting, and we're not alone. No, reach out. You'd be surprised how much you're not alone if you just reach out. So, as for that aspect, that's those parts of my notes done. Now I'd just like to kind of, when we're talking about it, I'd just like to give you some stats a bit here, which some of them are very eye-opening, and I think these are some of the stats that I would love people to understand. And then I'll go into a bit of my backstory as to why I've done the podcast, what my experiences have been. I'll touch on it, I'll gloss over it. I've never really done this, I've never really sat down and had a discussion like this, so it's going to be hard, it's going to be a bit difficult to get it in order, but you know what? It needs to be done, because again, if I can take that step myself, it might help others, so it's worth it. So, the impact on mental health and well-being. Mental health struggles. Research shows 80% of children in care have significant mental health issues, compared to only 18 to 22% of the general population. They're at a higher risk. You're 3 to 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with conditions like anxiety, depression, PTSD or ADHD than those who grew up in a family home. Studies indicate around 25% of people in care have attempted suicide. This statistic alone shows the depth of the pain and isolation many of us feel. Adults who were in care, are significantly more likely to struggle with feelings like worthlessness, shame, and a difficulty trusting others. When it impacts your education and your future, on average, 65% of children in care change schools 7 times more between primary and secondary education. This constant moving makes it incredibly hard to learn, make friends, and feel settled. Graduation rates. Only about 50 to 70% graduate from high school, compared to 85 to 95% of your peers. Higher education. Less than 10 to 12% of care leavers go on to graduate from university, compared to nearly 50% of the general population. This isn't about intelligence, it's about lack of stability, support, and belief in ourselves. Now, what institutionalised actually does... What institutionalisation actually does to you. Being raised in the system, rather than at home, changes how your brain personally develops. Here is what research says about institutionalised. Attachment issues. With a difficulty bonding, studies shows that only 19% of children in long-term institutionalised care form secure attachments, so healthy and trusting bonds, compared to 74% of children in families. One famous study found that 70% of children raised in institutions reported being unable to care deeply about anyone. This isn't because you don't want to love, it's because the system taught you to protect yourself by shutting down. These words like to mess me up, sorry about this. Disinhabited attachment. You might find yourself being overly friendly or trusting of strangers, or alternatively push people away before they can hurt you. This is a survival mechanism learnt when you had too many difficult carers and no one constant person. Your loss of identity and independence. One size fits all in care is often regimented. Set times for meals, bed, clothes, activities. This can lead to feeling like you're just a number, part of the system, rather than an individual. difficulty making choices. Because decisions were made for you for so long, you might struggle now to know what you like, what you want, what you need. Hypervigilance. You might also feel like you're waiting for the next change, the next move, or the next person to leave. This creates a constant state of anxiety that stays with you into adulthood. And the long-term outcomes. Homelessness. Between 30 to 46% of homeless people have a history of being in a care. And again, that's really a high stat. But again, my problem with some of the stats, that's high. But I would actually argue it may actually be higher than that. Because how many people, due to the shame of being in care that a lot of people being in care feel, how many people wouldn't identify that they had been in care? So that would be interesting. Anyway, sorry about that. Employment and money. Within years of leaving care, up to 50% have no earnings and many rely on benefits, not because they don't want to work, but because they lack the support and others. You lack the support and network from others that others take for granted. So, when people ask why I'm the way I am, or why I struggle with certain things, these numbers tell that story. It's not just a tough childhood. I went through a system that's statistically proven to affect your mental health and education. And your ability to trust people. Being institutionalised means that part of me was shaped by rules, routines, and survival rather than love. Consistency and being seen as an individual, and that is why I do this podcast. So others know the way it feels isn't weird. It's a normal response for what we went through. You should never ever be ashamed of what you went through. You didn't choose it. It was institutionalised, it was forced on you. You didn't really have a choice. So there I've covered some of the parts that I wanted to cover. Now I think it's kind of hard, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort of roughly gloss over a bit of my story and touch on a few aspects. A lot of it's kind of hard to talk about. A lot of it's kind of hard to mention. It's hard to remember. There's a lot that I've kind of, I wouldn't say forgot. I would say put in a wee box, because a lot of times I put it away and don't know I think about it. I'm amazing at helping other people. I'm great working with mental health and helping other people. When it comes to myself, I tend to go, I'm fine. But as of late, as the last couple of years, I've realised, no, you need to, there's issues that if you're helping other people deal with their issues, you need to also help deal with yourself. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I've took a couple of years to do while I've been raising my kids and stuff. I've took that time and put my pieces back together, thanks to my wife, thanks to all the support I've had for her. So, again, without rambling on too much, to kind of go back. So, as I said previously, I've been in care twice. Total different experiences, total different ends of the scale. I initially, when I was, what would it have been, 10 till I was 12, I was in a care home in East Kilbride called Nerston Residential School. I will put a pin in that and I will come back because I want to end on Nerston. I'm going to go back to front here. Then when I was 15, 15. 15. So when I was 15, I had been, as I said before, not by saint by any stretch. I had a children's panel for messing about, doing stupid things, smashing windows in schools, just being a wee shit and doing stuff I really shouldn't have ever been doing. Just the stupid stuff you did when you were younger. I mean, that's no any way to put it down, that it's just, it was just as if it was nothing. But it was just stupid stuff you did as a kid that I didn't realise the impact that it would have. I then was going to a children's panel. I was supposed to be going to an open school and getting moved. to help me to go because I'd been bullied in my high school. So it was, I'd been running away, I didn't want to go. For being picked on and stuff, and so that was fine. Supposed to be going to the panel. However, there was a lady who showed up at the panel. My mum clocked her, knew her, and we were, as I said, we're supposed to go to an open school. That was fine. Then miraculously, all that fell through. Oh, there's no spaces left. And then the woman came in. I've heard about this woman, I knew her name. That was fine. As soon as I heard her name, my heart sank. I knew it wasn't going to end in a good place. So yeah, to cut to the chase, they decided that the school I would attend would be Keller in Stevenson. Now, I again was under the impression that when I went to the children's panel, I would go in. It was going to be, they would pick a day school that I would attend. Back home, done, dusted, that's fine. I had my knuckles wrapped for the stupid behaviour, and I would then get my act together and go to a different school, back up home, that's fine. No, that was not the case at all. So they decided I was going to Keller. I didn't know this was already possibly on the cards, although it was never meant to have been, because I'd heard a lot about Keller because my older sister had been in Keller 10 years before me, and I heard how bad it was. So instantly my heart sunk. I was like, oh great, okay. Well, I'm going to go home and get some stuff. No. Turns out I went out to the car. The social workers were taking me straight away there, and then that was it, straight to Keller. So instead of thinking I was going home, I was took straight to Stevenson. I had showed up with, I remember it to this day, it was one of the old Farm Foods bags. We just had a couple of change of clothes in it, that was it. You know, that was all I had to my name. It was a couple of change of clothes, that was it. So okay, fine. Going in, not really knowing what to expect. Got introduced to the staff. Thought, okay, it's supposed to be a safe environment, that's fine. Place was eerily quiet, there was nobody there. Turned out, they were all out on a trip. They were out for a night out. There was only one person in the unit, and yeah, so it was one person in the unit, and it was, okay, go and down, introduce yourself, whatever. But again, before I went in, it was, okay, we need to take your stuff. This is your room, this is where you are, this is where you go, this is the routine, this is what you do. Do as you're told, that's it. Which is a bit of a shock, but that's fine. So yeah, I can introduce myself to the person who was in the unit. I won't say too much about this person. All I will say is that interaction changed a lot of my experiences in there. I initially met this person, we struck up alright, talked fine, everything seemed great, where there was nobody else in the unit. As soon as everybody else showed up, a mask went on. He became a total different person. And then I seen the real side of this person. So this person pretty much spent the whole time I was there thinking he pretty much ran the place. It was, he was in charge, that was it. You do as you're told or else. And of course I was like, no. That ain't how it works, that ain't how it's going to go. I was a bit too stubborn. Didn't understand the way these places work. Didn't understand the dynamic. So that was fine. Then I was in the pool room one time, and one of the staff members had just walked out the door. Now this is a really long corridor, so if anything happens, you'd hear it. So because I refused to, do as I was told, as he put it, he was playing a game of something on a PlayStation. I made a comment. It was nothing. It was a harmless comment about the game. It was fine. Playing pool. The member of staff left the room. as soon as that person left the room, I had a pool cue smashed around my head. I was then hit with pool balls and socks. I kicked across the room. There was 5 of them. I then kept trying to get back up to defend myself. At which point I got my face stamped on, my ribs stamped on. I got a sofa pulled in. One of the boys stood on top of the sofa while it was on my spine, while the other ones decided to jump on me and kick me in the face. So yeah, that was one of my experiences. As I said, I'm not going to go into too many, but I just want to kind of let you kind of touch on it. I had broken glass put in my bed, didn't realise until I got into bed. That was lovely. There was the odd beating now and again. It was, which was quite... I'm not even going to play it down. It needs to be told exactly how it is. It's not nice for me to say, but it needs to be told because people need to understand. It was traumatic. Every single aspect, as I said before in the stats there, every aspect of your day is regimented. And I had this conversation with my wife when she asked what the experiences were like. Now, I'd explained it to one of my friends previously from years ago, who said to me, well, what was it like being in care? It couldn't have been that bad, he said. Obviously not knowing what I'd been through. So, just as a rough skimming here, when you wake up in the morning, you're regimented. There's breakfast at a specific time, shower at a specific time. But you don't get to switch off from morning till night. The only time you technically can switch off is when you're sleeping, because you don't have a choice. Other than that, you're hyper vigilant every single second of the day, and it's every aspect of your day is affected in ways that it should never ever have been affected. You should never have had to live like this. And I'm not even making any of this up. This is exactly what I went through, and it shaped who I am today. So we would get up in the morning, and you've got to quickly, run downstairs, check who's in the shower, see who's not in the shower, because depending on who's in the shower, depends on if it's free, if it's not free, can you get in? Is anybody about that might try and attack you? It wasn't the first time I'd been in the shower. As obviously you're in the shower, you're naked, you're just trying to get washed, and shower curtains back, and there's 5 or 6 people beating on you. What can you do? You can't really defend yourself. You're totally as vulnerable as you possibly can be. Some of these times this would happen, and the shower room, one of the shower rooms was right across the hall from the staff room. Nothing happened. It was, we didn't hear anything. So when you've got to first thing in the morning go, when can I get a shower? Am I going to be safe? Am I not going to be safe? Can I get back to my room? Can I get changed in time? Can I not get changed in time? Then you've got to go get breakfast, and then you're hyper vigilant. You've got to sit in the dining hall, and you've got to watch. You learn not only watch yourself and your environment, you watch every aspect of that room. And this is what I'm saying, this is the things that impact me today. I can't go into a building anymore, or any business. I've always got to assess where the exits are, where everybody's sitting. Is there any threats? Is there any danger? What could possibly go wrong? I do this in every place I go, every day of my life. I should never have to live like that. But it's been institutionalised into my head. These are just, it's thoughts that I don't, it's muscle memory now. I mean, I would love to be like, yeah, that's done and dusted, I don't need to think like that. But it is just muscle memory. It's ingrained in you. It's that survival mode you're constantly in, where you're always watching, you're always alert, you're always got to check. So yes, as I said, you'd be in the dining hall, you have to wait. Does anybody have a problem with you? Do they not have a problem with you? Is anybody kicking off with the staff? Is anybody going to fight with each other? Is there going to be a brawl that when other people are fighting, they're then going to use an excuse to then attack you because of something? Because that happened. So I mean, it was constant. As I say, the place was like a jail, but without the bars. I mean, as I said previously. So yeah, there was lots of that, and then you go up to the school, and you try and get an education. I mean, before that, I wasn't exactly the most academic, I wanted to learn, but I never really threw my full energy into it. So then when I was in there, it was, you'd go into class and they'd say, okay, you're going to work? A bunch of the boys would go, nah. I'll tell the teachers where to go. So again, the teachers will be like, okay, well fine, just do whatever. So then you're left where you've got to self-teach yourself. So I had to self-teach, I had to go and get workbooks, I had to go and get work, I had to ask the teacher stuff that I could do to try and educate myself, because if they're all shutting down the class, you're not learning anything. Or you're too distracted because you're trying to watch for fights, or you're trying to watch for anything happening. It was just a constant, struggle. So we would have that, and then you would come back, and then again, sometimes it would be at night time. What I will touch on is every single person has the same experiences, the same feelings. You go into a place like that and you automatically think, oh, I've got this, I'll be fine. I'm big, I'm strong, I'm tough, that's fine. Nah. I mean, I won't try and attempt to speak for everybody, but I know it's more than just me that said this. Yeah, you will have moments where you will spend the night crying. You will wish to go home. You don't want to be there. You're trapped, you're scared, and you just don't feel good. Because although the staff weren't the greatest as well during the day, you at least had staff who, there was regular staff, either would be for our unit, there was 4 units as total, as well as that non-including the secure unit and stuff. But we had 4 units, so you'd have staff about if anybody was on call and they needed it if anything kicked off. However, at night, we had a unit with probably 16 boys in it, 2 staff, that was it. You'd have 2 night staff, that was it. They were regularly meant to check on everybody every hour. That never happened a lot. There was a lot of times that didn't happen. I guess now's as good a time as any to experience. I won't go in too much, but yeah, when I was in there, one of my friends died as well. He had been out on weekend leave, had been taking drugs, realised that he didn't feel right, so he phoned to school, asked to go back early. Now what they're supposed to do when you go in, they're supposed to check you, see if you're under the influence, and if you are, they, supposed to help you be sick, get out your system, monitor you, keep your fluids up, make sure you're alright, make sure there's no issues. That never happened with my friend. Miraculously the logbook for that night disappeared, but he was just sent to his bed to go to sleep. Oh, you'll be fine, it's okay, on you go. And he died. That affected me massively. I was there at the time, and I remember, we knew what happened. We had to sit at breakfast with people for other units asking us what happened. Is everything okay? Everything fine? But the staff told us, shut up, you're not allowed to talk about it, don't say anything. He's away to hospital. We'll let everybody know later what's happened. Now we already knew, as well, I say we all, the couple of us who were there knew exactly what happened and knew that my friend had died. We had to play dumb. We had to make it, no, he's away to hospital, everything's fine. There was, it was awful. I remember going up to school and people were asking questions and people were, trying to crack jokes, and me and one of the other boys, I won't name them, we kicked off. You couldn't handle it. Emotionally, I was just broke. I'd known them since we were young, grew up in the same area, been in IT groups together, stayed just a couple of streets from him, knew him for years. So for people to be cracking jokes or trying to ask questions when they didn't really understand what had happened, it just broke something inside me. and the fact that the staff were so blasé and try to hide what had actually happened, and that they hadn't really helped look after him the way they should have, really affected me. And then I had quite a few issues where I'd ran away. One of the times I had ran away, I had foster parents when I was in care, who helped me. I remember running away. One of the first places I went, which was a no-brainer, which again I'll go back to, but one of the places I had ran away to was my dad's house. Now, I say my dad, in my heart, it's my dad. It was actually my stepdad. He'd been there for me my entire life, and it was the safest place I've ever felt in my life. So when I ran away and I didn't feel safe in there, the natural response was go there. My dad was quite smart. He was like, "You can't stay here, son. If you want to stay away from them, you can't be here. They're going to find you." I was like, "That's fine." So I eventually had found a place, which was horrendous. I thought it was a safe place to go. It wasn't. Ended up getting locked in. I had to jump out a 3-story window to escape, which again was not a great experience. I had then phoned my mum. I had explained to her, well, I'm not going to tell you where I am, because I knew obviously my mum would phone the school, would want to see me go back, so that she knew where I was safe. Instead I was just on the run basically. My mum had phoned round, had phoned my foster parents and had said, what had happened. They said, "Oh, tell James to come to us, we'll look after him, it's fine, not a problem." So I went there. They said, "Don't worry, we're not going to phone MD, we'll deal with this in the morning, it's fine, just go and get some sleep." So again, I hadn't slept in days for being on the run and hiding. So went for sleep, woke up at 2 in the morning. Key come downstairs, James. So about half awake, like, okay, what's going on? Came down the stairs and of course got a tap upstairs and there's the police. They'd phoned the police, told the school where I was, the school told the police. They came to get me, take me back. That was fine. But at this point I had probably spent 3-4 days on the run. So they took me out, my foster parents. They were like, "Oh, we'll take him back, it's fine, no problem," like there was nothing wrong. Down to the bottom of the close, handcuffs on, and then it was, "Oh, you think you're fucking clever." Sorry for swearing. So, "Oh, you think you're clever," to then get punched in the ribs and be told, "Well, that's what happens when you think you're wide and running about and having us wasting our time." Got took to the police station. Had to stay in. Had to wait for 2 social workers to come to collect me, to take me back to Kerala. Again, which is the worst experience, didn't really want. I did have the opportunity when we left the police station. I knew the route, I knew exactly where I was, and I knew I could have ran away again. But I thought, no, I'm going to go back. So I went back. Again, it was the staff were like, "Oh, what's going on? Everything's fine, we're dealing with everything, it's whatever." I then had a couple of different experiences. I won't go into too much, I'm not going to bore people too much. Needless to say, there was times of multiple beatings, there was physical assaults, there was sexual assault, there was, I've been chased by about 4 or 5 or 6 of them with knives. Staff said that never happened. However, I did have a report put in by one of the other staff who actually seen it, who stood up for them and said, no, the boy's telling the truth. What he's saying is happening in the unit, it's happening in the unit, which was good. But then there would be other instance where, staff would be like, "Oh, do I go into the gym? We'll go do some boxing," and you'd get took in, and then the door would be locked and you're getting punched with boxing gloves, just for an excuse, just to, we're teaching you to box, but no, it was just an excuse for them to hit you. So there was never a single day in 2 years that I didn't constantly, I guess what I'm getting at is I didn't wake up without the fear in the morning of what's going to happen. Am I safe? Am I safe before school? Am I safe when I go to school? Am I safe when I'm in school? Am I safe when I come back? Am I going to be safe when I go to bed at night? You're hyper vigilant. You're always, there was multiple attacks. There was between to myself, to other people. There was, you'd kick off because of something that's happening to you. To then have, and again, I won't name the person for obvious reasons. I'm not allowed to. But there was staff members who would take great delight in putting you in stress positions, who would restrain you, arms up your back, right round up your back, till it almost feels like your arm's getting broke. Using his knuckle like this and smashing you in the top of the skull, laughing, thinking that it's funny. He really didn't seem to bother. It was just, haha, it's funny. No, it wasn't the first time I said, well, I'm going to report you. And it wasn't the first time I'd heard it, and it was repeatedly. Which again, I won't go into, not too much, I don't want to bore people, but yeah, there was quite a few times where the staff would quite gladly take delight in telling you, you're a kid and care. Nobody cares. You're locked up in here. If anybody cared about you, you wouldn't be here. Who you going to tell? And even if you do tell anybody, they'll believe us before they believe you. You don't matter. You're a nothing. And that was drummed into you for years. Where you're always feeling like nobody cares. Nobody's there. You're alone. And that's it. And that's kind of what they wanted. They wanted that drummed into you. So as I said, I hope I'm explaining this the way I wanted. I hope it comes across so that people can understand. This is not me trying to be like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. But what it is me trying to use my experiences to show people, some of the things I've done, some of the things I've seen, some of the things I've acted like. There's a reason for it. It doesn't justify it. I'm not justifying anything. But what I will say is, there's reasons behind it. When I've not been trusting people, when I've got abandonment issues, there's reasons. I was in care, and again, just to kind of touch on it a bit, again, people won't like this aspect of me saying this, but I always grew up and it was just me and my mum. My dad was never about. When I was younger, he in and out. I was always told my mum's version of events as to why he wasn't there, but I never judged because, again, you can't really judge if you don't know the full story. But I always wanted him there. Then I had my stepdad, who is just my dad. Like, the greatest guy I've ever met. Like, he was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination either, but what I did love about my dad is he never claimed to be perfect. He never claimed to be anything really. He was just, this is me. I'm doing my best. Take it or leave it. And I loved that attitude because he never tried to fake anything. What you seen is what you got. A spade's a spade, which impacted me, which is why I'm the way I am. I just call a spade a spade. I don't care. I'll talk about it and I'll say it. And it's just what I think is, there you go. Which might be part of my ADHD as well, I suppose. But yeah, so I kind of grew up with my dad, but with my dad having his own issues, he was in and out. There was times I spent lots of times with my dad. Well, my stepdad, I'll say for this, so you understand what I mean. There's times he was there, he wasn't there, which is fine. That wasn't just like, it wasn't like he was just disappeared. It was just times where he was busy getting on with life and I was busy getting on with life and I was away doing my thing and dealing with whatever I had to do with in my head. But he was always there for me. Never judged me. He always accepted me for who I was. And the undeniable love I got from him, was the glue that held me together for years. That's not to say that I didn't have other positive influences. I had my big brother. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. I mean, I don't even think he'll even see this, to be honest. I don't think he'll even watch this. But that's just because he's got his own life and he's in kids and he's busy, so it's not that I'm saying he won't care. But if he does see this, I don't think he really understands the impact he had either. My big brother David is amazing. Like, I love that guy. Like, he helped protect me. I always knew if ever there was an issue when I was younger, my brother had my back. He was there for me, and it's not like my brother will fight for me, this or that, the way a lot of people in Glasgow are. It's not like that. It was, he always supported me, he always looked out for me, and what I really appreciated was, if I done or said anything that was wrong, he was the first person to be like, oh, no, stop it. He put me in my place more than once, and I needed it. I did. I mean, I said, wasn't a cent. So, but the support I had from my brother was invaluable. Like, having him there for me when I had a lot of times when for years I felt like I had nobody. So I know he probably didn't think it at the time because our paths crossed because we had different families and the connection was my dad. But like, he was always there when I needed him, and I could never thank him enough. Do you know what I mean? He was just amazing. And so there was that aspect, right? And then also my dad was in it. Then, as I said before, I'd been in nursing when I was younger. And then when I was in Keller, especially when I was in Keller, again, I've only touched on some of the stuff with Keller. There's, that if I was to write it out, it'd be a file like that. All the different incidents and traumas, and which I won't go into too much, you know. It's just kind of touching on so people understood. But what I would say is, you know, when I was in Keller, a lot of times I spent time going, I know I grew up and my real dad, my birth dad, my biological father was never really about. I'd seen him when I was, I think it was 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, and then again when I was leaving Keller. I don't know. I would love to go into more of this. I don't know what the full story is there. I would love to know. But I won't upset too many people by what I'm saying. But I grew up in that care system, and I always taught myself, if my dad knew what was going on, he'd save me. My dad would come and rescue me and get me out of there. That never happened. He never really knew. Even when I came out, again, probably my fault. I never really explained to my dad when we did reconnect when I was 18. I never really explained to him what I went through. To the point that I've now just turned 41. I think I only told my dad some of what I had been through less than 6 months ago. So he never really knew. So again, one aspect I'd love for him to have been there and done more and been more supportive, but it's hard for him to do that if I don't give him the facts. I can't moan and say, well, why were you not there and why don't you help me look what I went through if he doesn't know. Again, on the other side of it, if he doesn't ask and he doesn't actively be there, then I can't get the opportunity to tell him. So yeah, so when I was 18, I'd left Keller. I tried to reconnect. It didn't really work. That then, one of the biggest important things for me was to try and reconnect with my birth father. I needed him to understand me. I thought, I need my dad. Everything I've been through, I need my dad. I need him to understand. I need to be able to explain to him, because again, I've missed this part out. By this point, my stepdad, who was my dad in my heart, it was like my main dad. I know I'm kind of confusing with the dad and dad stit here, but that's just because I'm still calling my biological dad, because it's a respect. He's still my dad, you know. So, but my stepdad had passed away, which really impacted me badly. Still does. And that was over 20 years ago. So that's a struggle. it's a struggle having kids now and not being able to go and take my kids to see them, because I know he'd have been out of the moon. He'd have been had them at Rangers games. He'd have been having a laugh with them, played football with them. It'd have been amazing. But again, because my dad, who I grew up with, had passed, that was more so a reason to try and reconnect with my birth dad. I tried. There was issues. There was buttons ahead, and there was situations that happened that shouldn't have went down the way it did. We then lost touch for another 12 years after that. Reconnected. I've tried on and off for years. It's an ongoing trauma with me. That abandonment that I have, the issues with abandonment, stem right back for there. I'll always feel like I'm never enough. Nothing I do is ever good enough. All I've ever wanted, I think, I don't know if it's down to the abandonment issues. I'd love to really. I've dug into it a few times, but I need to get a bit deeper. All I've ever wanted is to make my dad proud. I've never managed to, which is hard, but I guess it is what it is. I've never really managed to make him proud. But again, that's probably down to the fact as well that my dad doesn't really know who I am really. On and off, if you put the time together, we've maybe had about a year, 2, if you're lucky, together, if you put all the pieces together. So, as I said, I'm 41, so he doesn't really know me. It's hard. I would love to have these conversations and open up and let him hopefully see this and maybe get him to understand what I've been through, what I've dealt with. It'd be easier to have me understand. But it's never really happened. So yeah, I've got a lot of abandonment issues for that. And it struggles because even to this day, I'm 2 streets away from my dad. And I've not seen him in 2 years. It's hard because I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old who are crying out for like their grandparents, and to know that he's just there and doesn't see them. And obviously I can only speak for what I can see. I don't know what goes on in his head. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know what he feels. I could be totally wrong. However, it always feels to me that he doesn't care. And as a father myself now, I don't understand how somebody can have your kids and your grandkids that close and not be there for them. Because there's nothing that would keep me from my kids. So again, it's really hard. So I guess going back to finalise, as I said, what I want to go back to earlier, I was also in a second care home, and I've left this to last for an obvious reason. Now, I was in there from when I was 10 till I was 12. It was called Nurston Residential School. It was in East Kilbride. And to be perfectly honest, that place saved my life. Because if the staff in there had not looked after me the way they did, if they didn't show me, if they didn't take me through, when I went in there, I felt like I was nothing. And that didn't matter to anybody in life. And I felt worthless. They built me up. They put me back together. And the love and affection that they showed us. I used to always think, when I was in there, that, well, of course they're going to look after you. It's their job. It's what they're paid to do. So why would they not look after you properly? However, with my experiences with Keller, I now know, no. If you're in a job like that, in a care system, and you're looking after people, and you're showing them love, respect, and decency, and just, showing them that they matter, and you're helping not just do the job like you're there to do, but when you're helping to build them up and to make them feel good about themselves, if you can do that, you're something special. Because you don't understand the impact that you're having. You don't understand what's going on at home. You don't understand what they're dealing with. So those small gestures, even something as simple. I'll get a best example for me. I always used to grow up, even when I was in nursing, and it was a great experience. I loved the place. The staff were amazing. The way they treated you was great. But even still in there, I still felt like I didn't matter. I woke up in the morning just feeling kind of crappy. Didn't feel great. You didn't care. You're away for family. Now, I had one member of staff who used to come in every morning when she was working in the morning shift, and she'd wake you up singing songs. And I can still hear it to this day in my head. And she won't see this. But her name was Jackie. I know her full name, but I'll just say Jackie. Jackie was amazing. The small touches that she did made me feel like I mattered. Like, she used to come in and she'd sing songs in the morning. She'd be like, "Hey guys, how are you? Morning." And she'd sing. And she'd sing the song, and then she'd leave a bit, and you had to then join in. It was amazing. I used to love doing it every morning. It put me in a good mood. Also, her husband, I remember as well to this day, her husband was a Rangers fan, so was I. He used to buy the Rangers programmes. Jackie used to come in every week, and if he'd got a programme and there was a poster in it, or anything like that, she would come in and she'd be like, "Oh, my husband said you can have this." I used to have Rangers posters all on my wall, and just having something at that point that's yours, something that belongs to you, that nobody can take away, made the world a difference. It's just made you feel like you matter. Now, again, I know their full names, but I won't use them. But what I will say is, and it deserves to be said, because now as I'm older and wiser, I know the impact now. So what I will say is, on different levels, because they were in different areas of the school, teaching wise, I'll say there was a teacher called Laura. She was amazing. I remember we used to do glass painting. I always remember it. We done glass painting. She'd put the picture in the glass, and it was in a jar, and you could sit and do glass paints, and she would just sit and and it was just so calming, and just the atmosphere that she created was so calming, so like. And I didn't realise it until now with my ADHD, and those small things helped shape me, because having those outlets, having those areas that I could shut my brain off and just focus on, just do the glass painting, that helped take my ADHD up here where it was unmanageable, and it helped me bring it down. It helped me realise that if there was moments where my ADHD was kicking in, and I was, hyper and I was all over the place, sit down, bring yourself back, just focus on this, just do something just nice and relaxing and calming, and just like that. The atmosphere that she created was brilliant. I remember going hill walks. I remember going hill walks with Mr. Brady. It was, I remember MD who was in there, who, if they see this, I hope they do. We used to call ourselves the Singing Tea Jennies, where Mr. Brady would say you had to sing. If you didn't sing a song, you didn't get a cup of tea. And Ian with a smile, you can tell. We loved it. We were, "Oh, it's the Singing Tea Jennies." And it may have just been something daft to Mr. Brady. He must have been like, "I'm getting these boys to sing, it's funny." But again, those interactions, making you feel like you're part of something, that you, even if it's just singing for a cup of tea, that made you forget about everything. Any problems that you might have had, how your day was, you just didn't care. We used to have so much fun on the hill walks. It was amazing. It was just fantastic. And again, Laura, amazing teacher. She was so great with us. That just I mean, there's a million other things I remember, but I'll just use that as an example for the help me to control my ADHD, help me control and realising that when you go up, there's ways to bring yourself down. There's ways to regulate it and channel that energy into something positive, but also into something that can help you just be relaxing. It just shuts those sides of the brain off, and it just helps. She might not realise that's what she was doing at the time. I'm sure she did. She's well smart, so she should know. And then there's two other guys I would love to say totally changed everything for me in there. Graham and Shuggy, amazing. Honestly, two of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life. I could never, even if they were in front of me right now, I could never thank them enough. And again, it might be things that they just go, I was just doing my job. They don't even think about it. But you know what? That's what makes them as special as they are. That's what makes them not just that, oh, who was that person? Who was that person? No, they're names that I always remembered. I never forgot. To the point I even went back twice to Nerston to visit just to see them. I used to say it was to see the school. It wasn't, it was to see them. Because I loved the feeling that I got seeing them. How nice they were to you. How much they took the time to show you that you mattered. Now, I mean, again, when I went back to visit, I could have just been an old pupil and they could have been like, oh, that's great, okay, nice to see you, how you, hope life's good, fine. I remember going back, and I remember, he won't remember, but I do. I remember Shuggy having a joke with me, having a laugh. Oh, it's you, nah, gave me a hug and all that. That made me feel so much like I mattered. And at a time, I didn't realise it then. I did at that time extent, I noticed it then. But now more so, with hindsight, I understand just how important those moments were. And the fact that those staff always used to take the time to show you that you mattered. And it might have been, again, it'd be small things that they did that they didn't even really think about. I remember an instant when, with Shuggy for instance, the head teacher wanted a birdhouse made for at the front of the school. Shuggy made it. It was amazing. And he goes just to help him. He's like, oh, you give us a hand to set it up. He didn't need us. He could have done that, no problem. But I remember he took me, and I think I remember it was my pal Alan Brown. We went out and we got a chance to help set the bird feeder up, fill it up, and just like, I remember as well, he came in and varnished it. And I can still remember, I can still visualise where it looked like. I still know exactly where it was at the front of the school. To the point I went back visiting when the school had shut and I went looking for it. I was like, oh, I wonder if Shuggy's bird tail was there. But again, the fact of how much effort he took with you, and the fact that he always, I wish I could go more in depth, but there's so much that my brain can't pick bits out. But he always treated me with respect. And he always made sure that I treated everybody else, all the boys, all the staff, everything with respect. It was, you gave it, you got it. And having that instilled, I mean, I know he wasn't necessarily trying to instill it, but he did. It was, if you want respect, you've got to show respect. And to be honest, I was a wee shit when I was younger, so I probably needed that. I needed that to be told, no, if you want respect, you got to show it. It's a two-way street. Something I live by now. So, thanks, Shuggy. And also, Graham. Honestly, the laughs you used to have with him, he was amazing. You'd have such a laugh all the time. He was always so funny, and always remember him with his motorbikes. He'd always be talking about his motorbikes. But I like him and Billy, and they'd always be having a laugh with him. You'd be playing football, and they would skin you. But yeah, they still had a way of making you feel like you were doing amazing, that you were like some great football player. They cheer you on, but again, it wasn't just the doing the small things. It was the time that they always took, every single one of them. And again, as I keep saying, I'm kind of going back and forth a bit here. The fact that they always treated you with respect, the fact that they always made you feel appreciated might feel like something that they just don't think about. It was just something they did. It's just how good they were as people, how much amazing people they are. But they don't realise that by giving you that, I matter. Somebody cares about me. When you're away from your family and you feel like you don't matter and you might just be a number, you might just be, oh, I'm just another kid in this place. The fact that they took time to make me feel like I mattered was amazing, and again, speaks volumes about who they are as people, because they didn't just do that with me. They done that with every single person in there. Every single person. They always treated everybody so well. That school, those staff, especially in particular them, always showed me, like, that's how you should be treated. When you want to show somebody respect, you want to show people that they matter, you want to be decent to people, that's the model. That's who you should be following and emulating. Those staff, if you ever get into a teaching role, you ever try to do it like that, that's how you teach. That's how you show respect. You show it and you learn it. And I took that into some of the jobs I worked in. When I worked in the college, when I worked in West College Scotland in Claybank, that's part of what I did. It was treat people with respect, give them their place, be decent, always be respectful, and just help whenever you possibly can. You don't know what people are going through. And that's then stemmed into some of the training that I've done. And so some of the experiences, so just to touch on it briefly here, I've done a awareness in mental health. I've done a Scottish mental health first aid. I've done suicide prevention training. I have, again, I worked on programmes in the college on mental health in comparison alongside organisations like SAMH. I was Care Experience Ambassador in the college. I used to go around different colleges to represent that. I had an amazing team. Somebody who I still call my boss, Nicole. I still call her boss. Loved working with her. She was great. Amazing person. Like, such. I can't speak highly enough of her. But we also done so well as a team that, not to blow our own trumpet, but I'm proud of it. So yeah, I'm going to say it. We took the college from never really being nominated for any awards to we get nominated when we were there. We went through 2 years of 2 different presidents coming and leaving in the college student association. Nicole stepped up, became boss. I was acting. We kind of split the role. Split half the. I was always covering all the bits Nicole couldn't attend and everything like that. Like health and safety meetings, we sat in board of management. I helped set up a mental health football team in Claybank. But also, again, most importantly, we went from never being nominated to getting nominated for shortlisted for 2 of the biggest awards, which was for all the colleges and all the universities in Scotland. We got shortlisted for Officer Team of the Year and Student Association of the Year, Team of the Year. We didn't win Officer Team of the Year because we didn't have one of the awards that we didn't win. We didn't have a designated staff member, so you couldn't win that. But we did win Student Association Team of the Year. So again, the college won their first award through the Healthy Body, Healthy Mind awards, which are really amazing thing that they do. So again, we done that. We achieved so much. We sat on so many different panels. We helped sit on the gender-based violence campaign for the Scottish Government. We did that. We also got, through our work that we done, we got our budget increased for the Student Association. We also helped to, as part of our work with other colleges as well, we also helped to increase student funding. All the support that's been increased for students over the years we were helping part of that. There was so much that we done. It was honestly one of the greatest jobs. I then came out and then had my son, so was a stay-at-home parent. COVID hit, isolation and depression hit, really bad. It was really hard. It was a really hard time. But during that time, I was filmmaking because I had a HND in media and communications, which is what I was really passionate about. I started filmmaking, worked on 2 films and a miniseries that was on Amazon Prime called Crime Lord, and the film was Cold Blooded Killers. I'm trying to remember the other one. For the life of me, I can't remember. Worked on 14 actor showreels. It was amazing. I loved it. One of the best experiences I ever had was we were filming a day and we had the Scottish actor Simon Wearing. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like, he made working with him an absolute delight. And what a professional. Oh my God, this guy can go from having a conversation with you and just having a joke and a laugh and a carry on and just having a right good laugh, and then boom, on a heartbeat, bang, he's focused, he's hyper focused, and he's in that role again, and you're just like, seeing him switch it on and off, I was like, that is what a professional is. That's wow. And I was like, this is why I done what I done. This is why I love working doing this, because it's getting the opportunity to work with people like Simon. It's life changing. It was such an amazing experience. And he's such a nice guy. We also then went on, and Simon was pretty much my second guest on my podcast when I started it. My first one was Two of the Boys for College. Second one was Simon. Obviously, due to having 2 kids and everything like that, kind of everything's fell by the wayside. There's been a lot of guests that said they would come on, haven't come on. But that's fine. That's life. That's what it is. But as I said, this is now going to be pretty much a mental health podcast. Whether it's going to be primarily every episode is fully talking about mental health, or whether it'll be having my guests on, and depending on who the guest is, we'll talk about their industry, and then we'll bring it back to mental health. I hope this made sense. I hope whoever's listening to this likes it. Hope I've not rambled on. Hope I've not bored people. Again, it's been hard for me because this is a lot of subjects that I've not really touched on. A lot of subjects that might rub some people up the wrong way. But I'm honest, it is what it is. And it's about time I done these and got it out. So what I would say is, thanks for listening, and if there's anybody out there listening to this who can relate, even if you can't, if you just want to have a chat, come on a podcast, be a guest, whether it's you've been through this and you've got some experience, you want to jump in and you can add something to it, jump in. Yeah, I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing who I can get. Obviously I have my list of a few people, but most importantly, right now, what I want to do is, I want to take a wee minute just to say, the reason I'm doing this podcast is people don't realise how much podcasts can actually help. People just think, oh, you just sit and have a wee listen. I've had a few times over the last couple of years re-examining my care records, re-examining everything I've been through, re-going through it, bringing it up, which can be traumatising at times. But thankfully I have enough training and enough insight myself that I know how to spot my triggers, and I've put stuff in place, dealt with it, got it sorted, and everything's fine. But what I would also say is, there's something to be said for podcasts and how much they can help. I have spent, and I'm actually on my 3rd attempt back round now, of listening through Scottish actor Darren Connell's Straight White Whale podcast that he does with his producer Paul. Now, I don't expect the guys will ever see this, but what I would love to say which they'll probably be sick of because the amount of times I've probably messaged them, no realising, because of the high level of respect I've got for the two of them. I've probably messaged more than I should, to the point I know I have, because I got blocked at one point, which is fine. I probably shouldn't have messaged as much as I did, but it wasn't from a bad place. It was coming from a place of respect. I probably didn't get that point across the way I should have, but it's fine. Life's life. It is what it is. But I continue to be a fan. I continue to listen every week. Like I said, I'm on my third time through with the podcast. But what I would say, rambling on here, what I would say is, and I know it sounds heavy, but it needs to be said. It needs to be heard at least once. Darren Connell's podcast has been life-changing for me. The amount of times he's said stuff or done stuff that I can relate to, experiences in his life, whether it's him talking openly and candidly about alcoholism and his struggle with it, and it slapped me in the head because I had a problem. Didn't realise, didn't want to acknowledge it. Didn't realise until I listened to Darren's podcast, until Darren shared, and then the penny dropped. There's been times he's talked about his mental health, the penny dropped. It helped me. It helped me show me I'm not alone. There's been a lot of times I've listened to Darren and the stuff that Darren has shared, and it's not been easy for him. So, respect where respect's due. The stuff that he opens up about and talks about in such a candid way, that more conversations are needed like that, because he doesn't realise it, but by sharing his story and sharing what he's did, and with Paul's insight, with Paul's experience, with his profession as well, being a therapist, has helped me massively. There's been times I've been in a really, really, really dark place, and listening to Darren's podcast, listening to him and Paul, the way they talk about things, the way they discuss things, the way they show that even if you're in a dark place, even if you're having issues, there's always a way out. Talk to people. There's, like they always say, there's places like Brothers in Arms Scotland. There's so many places that you could reach out to. And the amount that Darren shares and the amount that Paul helps, I'm just going to put it out there, it's saved my life. I've been on and off. I wasn't really that massively big, but I had been drinking, and then it had been kind of getting a grip now and again. I've now quit drinking, and I am now 3 months sober. And it was through the penny dropping, listening to Darren Connell's podcast. And also listening to, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember his name now. Why can't I remember his name? So it's podcasts like Darren, primarily, 90% is Darren. The other 10% has been Dapper Laughs, and how he talks about stuff with his podcast. It's listening to the likes of Pete Wicks' podcast, Man-Made. The way he handles his guests, inspiring and really good as well. Matt Willis has another great On the Mend, it's called. His podcast, I listen to every week. It's another one that's great. Professor Green, like listening to him as well. Wow. Like all these podcasts, if I didn't listen to them, now I remember his name, Aaron Kraskell. Aaron Kraskell talking about his experiences with alcohol as well. Between that and Darren, that's what made the penny drop. That's what's made me go, nope, no drinking again, don't want to, don't need to. I've got an amazing family, I've got an amazing wife, 2 great kids. Like, I've got an amazing stepdaughter. I've got, my whole life is just perfect. And again, I was lucky enough that I was at a point where I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't dependent on it. I could take it or leave it. But I sensed when it was taking hold of me, it was getting a bit of a grip where it was, have another wee drink. And as I said to my wife, I would rather quit now when I'm in control of it than before it controls me. And I only got that strength through listening to Darren's podcast. So I owe Darren a lot Like, that's probably why I got blocked for sending him so many messages about trying to get him on the podcast. Which, if you ever see this, Dan, I apologise. And I meant to send you as many as I did. I don't think I did, but it's coming from a place I love, man. Like, in respect. I've followed you since the Vine days, and I'm a massive fan. Like, again, the work that you and Paul do with your podcast, just keep it up, guys. I mean, obviously you're not going to be like, oh, I need to do it now because James said. But the work that you guys do is life-changing. You don't realise the impact you're having on people. So, thanks a lot, guys. And again, I want to say another aspect with Paul. The amount of times I've reached out to Paul and asked advice on what kit to buy, what kit I need, stuff like that. And that guy is super busy with work. He's probably up to his eyeballs in it, but he still always took the time to be like, no problem, James, do this. Have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? Gave me suggestions. He's never once been like, mate, that's not my job, or I'm busy. So the fact that he's always took time as well, and again, I've been listening to Paul since he done his Rebel City podcast, and that was another amazing podcast. Like, so they two are two great guys, and I honestly don't think I would still be here today if that podcast hadn't helped pull me around, helped made me see the light. Between that and the support from my wife, those three, that's my holy trinity. Paul, Darren, the wife. That's what's got me through, and that's what's then got me in a positive mindset. And then I've now been attending Andy's Man Club. I was facilitating for a year and a half. I took a couple of months off. I've now went back. So letting people know, you're not alone. You've got a safe space. That's what this is all about. So I will have this podcast up and running. I appreciate anybody that's listening to this. And yeah, I guess until next time, thanks for listening to my Let's Talk podcast. Thanks, guys.